Good morning. It is Wednesday. I hope you've had a good week so far, midway through the week. I was looking at some stuff because I love talking about vacation and things like that. I was looking at some stuff this morning. It's crazy to think we're like almost halfway done with the year. And Chris and I were talking about this last night. We're talking about taking evaluation of where things have come for us, because I'm sure, like most of us, you set goals for the year, and we're kind of discussing that. We do our walk. We try to do 4 miles a day, and so last night we were doing this, and we were doing our walk, and it was interesting to see. And I always know this, that God's plans so much better than our plans. But we were talking because we do a fast start of the year. It kind of sets our year as far as for what we believe God has for us, and sets it, into motion. And it's interesting. And I know he must. I'm here praying, and God's like, Rob, that's not it. I want you to do this. But sometimes he has to kind of like, prod me along, because I don't always listen as good as I could. But this year, it's been kind of interesting. Some things have happened. We've got some really neat stuff going on with the TV network. Of course, thank you so much if you're watching across the network this morning. Abundant TV had great numbers last night again. Salted with Stephanie Esposito. Wow, what a great numbers. Thanks for those that watched our show also. And Rob and Kristen show 8 o'clock Eastern time, and of course Salted at 9. Made for an amazing weekend, and a week day in the summer. It humbles me. I got to be honest with you. The whole thing of what the numbers we're seeing and the amount of people that watch and open the app and watch different stuff, it's incredibly humbling. We've got some great new programming starting even this summer. And of course, I can't leave out Jody and the guys on the show, Men Like Us. Men Like Us, a brand new show. It's right now monthly, but the rumor is we're going to see that move to a weekly show also. So your favorites, and of course, Sunday concession. Yesterday, just very humbling work is doing, and we appreciate talking about summer though. We had for San Juan this next week, my last week on the air, and then I'll be back in about 2 weeks after that. So next week, and then 2 weeks after that, I'll be back. In fact, I took the Monday off because I think we fly home late Saturday, and so I took the Monday show off because I will probably still be on island time as we head to Puerto Rico, and I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about everything that goes on. Summertime as a kid, of course, was always about the travel, and my dad being a traveling evangelist, we did it probably more than most. But one of the things they talk about this year, over 70% of people in the United States are going to take their summer vacation by driving. My cousin's doing that. She and I talked last night, and they're taking a road trip, going to visit some places in the country that they've wanted to see. But 70% of you are doing that. And of course, one of the great things about taking a road trip is snacks. And we want to thank the great folks at My-Snackies. That's my-snackies.com and the Looking Camp. We're in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. If you've never been there, you need to go at least once. Everybody should go to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg at least once in their life. I've been more than once. In fact, there was a time in my life a few years ago where I spent probably 6 to 7 weeks a year in the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge area. Not done this, will not probably ever do this because your feet dangle, and I'm just not a good feet dangling. You put me in an enclosed area, yeah, I'm good. But the Smoky Mountains looking awesome on this Wednesday morning. And thanks to the great folks at my-snackies.com. Listen, you probably are like me and haven't really thought much about freeze-dried snacks or thought about the idea of freeze-dried snacks, because to be honest with you, I'm a little bit older, and so that to me is different. But the folks at my-snackies.com, they have tremendous freeze-dried snacks for the car as you get ready for summer. Remember, wherever you go, take some My Hyphen snackies with on your road trip. And I love that. I love Gallenberg too, by the way, looking gorgeous this morning. A couple of other things I wanted to talk about. So here's my thing. I want to ask you this question because it's important to me, and that's why I'm asking it. It's also my show. Have you watched any of the World Cup? Yeah, that's kind of me. I've seen a little of it. I've seen enough to kind of, but I don't know. I've not gotten into it. I don't know if it's because it's summer. I know the numbers are good. I know that they're seeing some great attendance across the United States. But yeah, I'm kind of it's interesting. Saw an interesting thing that they picked different stadiums this time, and I found that to be interesting. And I think partially it shows the evolution of sports and viewing and how things are done and what people want. They didn't pick the older stadiums because they wanted the luxury boxes. And I think that's true. And for me, I got to be honest with you, games are more fun no matter what sport it is. If I'm in a luxury box, I've got to be honest with you. I've experienced that on multiple occasions, more than once, actually. And in fact, you could almost say a lot. I wouldn't, but you could. And I'll tell you this, in a luxury box doing it, 2 thumbs up. Just the way I am. But hey, tell me if, and reach out to us on the app. Have you been watching any of the World Cup? And if so, like, is your team still in it? I don't even know who's in it. I know the U.S., I believe, is still in it. Isn't that terrible? But the fascinating part is, to me, is the world coming together. And it's just neat. I like that part. Anyway, hey, we're excited today with our guests. We're going to do that. But before I do that, and I just thought of this because actually it came up on my screen. Hey, the great folks at 7 Weeks Coffee. Now, you've heard me talk about it over the last almost year. 7 Weeks Coffee does an amazing job. Their coffee is incredible. The service to get you the coffee, whether you do the whole bean, the grounded, or the K-Cups, it's incredible. They have amazing service. Plus, the cause is incredible. And the money that they've given is just incredible. They have given back over $2 million so far. We're going to have the founders of 7 Weeks Coffee on. Probably, we're working on it. It's supposed to be like a week ago, and I goofed and double booked myself. But it'll probably be early August. We're going to have them on the show. 7 Weeks Coffee. Use the promo code ATV10 when you order and get some of the Haitian blend coffee. Trust me, you need to do this. It needs to be done. We've got a great guest. We'll do that after this.
Behind every precious life, there was a choice. Behind every family moment, behind every special memory, there was a choice. A life of joy. A life that is beautifully and wonderfully made. At 7 Weeks Coffee, we are funding the pro-life movement, 1 cup at a time. Will you let your coffee serve a greater purpose?
Hey, they're great folks. 7 Weeks Coffee. Remember, use the promo code ATV10 when you order. Here's the thing, get the variety pack. I mean, seriously, it's the only way to go. Get the 4-pack to start with, because my wife talked me into it, and she was right, and it was incredible. And she goes, Rob, get the 4-pack. We'll start off with the 4-pack, and then we'll go from there. And I said, yeah, but really I just like dark roast. But anyway, she convinced me you need to do it. Into that variety pack, get the Haitian blend. If you've never experienced small batch, small roastery coffee before, you need to in your lifetime if you're a coffee lover. It's one of those things. And hey, welcome our guest today, Angelina. Okay, got to ask the question. I know you're from Seattle, or you were. Coffee person?
Actually, no. I was actually gonna say that video clip made me want to be a coffee person, though. I'm a tea person, but yeah, I
Are
might
you a tea?
actually order that and try that. That looked pretty good.
See, I did not. So no wonder you had to leave Seattle. They were wanting you gone. I understand. This makes all kinds of sense this morning. You are with a great organization called C Suite for Christ. Oh, it kills me every time.
It's a tongue
C
twister.
Suite for Christ. It's a tongue twister in itself. But tell everybody a little bit about that, how you got involved, and then I want to hear everything. I want to know about your life, but I always like to start off there because it kind of sets a baseline for everyone.
Absolutely. So, C Suite for Christ is actually an organization where we really gather and equip executives as well as business owners to really no longer compartmentalize their faith. So, I know when I worked in corporate, I was always told I needed to leave my faith at home. Well, we're gathering executives who no longer want to do that and who want to really lead in the workplace and in the marketplace from a place of being anchored in Christ and anchored in faith. And so, that in a nutshell is what C Suite for Christ does. I specifically am the executive director for the Women's Network. And so, my group is specifically all women. We felt like we needed a separate group because we feel like we have different challenges that not always, men executives and business owners can understand. And so it's an amazing group. God definitely has his hand on both the Women's Network as well as the entire organization. But our founder and CEO, Paul Nurberger, has grown the organization since 2018 to we have 38 chapters around the nation currently. So definitely ways for people to get plugged in if they're interested.
I love what you said there. And I want to touch on this because I think it's important. My wife is a business owner.
Mhm.
She has her own law practice, and so she has people that are with her. And she started off as a solo situation, and for women there are different challenges than men. Give a lady that's probably out there watching today, give her some of the things that would be an advantage for her to join an organization like yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest, advantage for women kind of joining other women is, especially our group, is that with other women's groups, it's like networking and it's not specific to executives and business owners. And so when you meet somebody, you always feel like you have to retell your story and explain, where you're coming from and the challenges that you're having. But with our group, the ladies actually find that, when they meet somebody new at our events, the women understand. They understand the challenges as well as the calling. And so I think that's really what's unique about our group is that we're not just focusing on the workplace or differently just the faith. We're kind of merging that together. And so it really enables ladies to meet other ladies or for the entire organization, people to meet other people that get it. They understand the challenges and the kind of isolation that you experience when you're in leadership roles, or, a solopreneur or a business owner, but then also the desire to really lead from, your identity in Christ and what God is calling you to do. And so I think that, if somebody's out there today just wondering, what am I going to find if I check this group out? I think that that's the main thing is that you're going to find that you are gonna meet people who really get it.
And see, that's so. I think we, as especially in the time that we're in now, we need people. We need fellowship. Basically, I think so
Mhm.
much, especially people in business. Our work kind of consumes us, so I think it kind of becomes a great place to have fellowship. And you mentioned that there are 38 um, branches,
Chapters.
or huh?
Chapters.
Chapters. So there might be something close to them, and I'm going to put up the QR code. I'm sure you can tell people if they reach out to you where to find a chapter or how to do that part. But now I want to talk a little bit about your story. How did you get here? Tell us a little bit about you and how you got to this point.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and keep it short because I think I clocked sharing my experience and testimony at like 25 minutes. So I'll shorten it a bit. So I actually come from a background in the healthcare industry. I started on the clinical side, and then after doing that for about 8 years, I went over to the administrative side. I worked in the OR, and I was tired of wearing masks all the time and being cold all the time. But anyway, I hopped on over to the administrative side of healthcare, and I kinda did this unintentional climb up the corporate ladder. I didn't realize at the time, but in hindsight, I recognized that, I kept, going from role to role. I was really looking for a place where I felt fulfilled and purposeful, which I know a lot of people can relate. But anyway, that climb took me all the way up to being second in command of a medium-sized medical facility in Seattle. And, I still was not finding what I was looking for. And kind of on the spiritual side, I grew up in a Baptist home. So I was in church, my youngest memories were of me in church. But for a majority of my life up to that point, I had really been what I call a checklist Christian. Like I felt like I was doing all the things that were expected of me and that you should be doing as a Christian, but I did not yet understand the concept of actually having a personal relationship with God. And so that did not happen until I was in my 30s when I was kind of like, okay, I should really, it's about relationship. It's not about kind of ritual and habits and stuff like that. But that came about because, God had been trying to tell me in many different ways throughout my healthcare career that He didn't want me to be there. He wanted me to be somewhere else. But of course, I wasn't listening. And then so he basically took a hammer to my head and had me laid off from one of my healthcare management positions. And that, was devastating to me. I went into deep depression. But really, why I think God had to do that is because I had unintentionally wrapped my identity into my job title. And so when that was kind of pulled out from under me, I really had to, figure out, who is Angelie and what am I supposed to be doing? And so that's really where my relationship with God deepened and, really found my identity in Christ and really started to recognize assignments and callings and my purpose. But anyway, instead of going back into healthcare, he had me get into leadership coaching because that was something that I was always passionate about and being, a manager and leader was really coaching and mentoring and training my staff members. So I got into that and I did that for 6 years. I built a pretty good business. But then a couple of years ago, he tapped me on the shoulder again and he said, Angelie, it's time for you to go into full time ministry. And I was like, but God, I like it here. I'm doing pretty well. And of course, again, if you don't listen, God's gonna, send you away to where you will. So when the Charlie Kirk thing happened, that was really devastating to me. And the message that I got from God was that I need you to be more bold with your faith. And so I listened. Immediately closed my coaching business. I wrapped up the clients that I had, and then I jumped into full-time ministry. And I have to tell you, I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. So I was like, okay, God, I'm here. Do you have a position for me? Am I supposed to start a nonprofit faith-based company? What am I doing? And so he started opening doors, and I started, my first position in a faith-based nonprofit was actually for a company called Faith Builder Ministries. I think Rob, James Brunt, who's the
Mhm.
executive director for that business. And when I actually took this position with C Suite for Christ, I resigned from there, but I'm still on their board of directors. But my journey with C Suite for Christ is I actually started on their speaker bureau because part of coaching, you always get into speaking and writing books and stuff like that. But yeah, and then when I got involved with C Suite as a speaker, I started to recognize the incredible organization that Paul had created and just started to get more involved. And so when he started this women's network, I was really excited and all in. And so that's kind of how that led me here today. And I have to tell you that, the position that I have now is really kind of a culmination of kind of all of the skills and gifts and strengths that God has, really blessed me with over the years. And so I definitely feel like this was something that God orchestrated because I could not have designed a position for myself like this. So yeah.
Isn't it cool how God works like that? How
Yep.
he like prepares us and you look back and you go, huh, I didn't realize that you were preparing me for this. Now, you mentioned you have some books. Have you written how many books have you written?
So I have two mindset books that I did a number of years ago that were more so secular audience based. And then I also wrote was a contributing author in a book called Cracking the Rich Code, which is by Jim Britt, and that book was endorsed by Tony Robbins, and the foreword was by Brian Tracy. And then I have been working on some devotionals, some Christian living guides, and I have a leadership book based on biblical theology that I'm actually finishing up and getting ready to launch. So hopefully it'll launch August, September.
Well, yes, definitely, and let us know because then we'll give it a plug here on the show so that
Absolutely.
people can order that book. So what? And I love the progression that you talked about when you've gone from one thing to the next. What is like the one thing that you want to accomplish with what your role now with C-suite for Christ? What is the one thing that you really, because I believe, and I could be wrong, but I'm guessing you're a goal person. I'm guessing you write down your goals and you've got some goals. Tell us like what's one thing like over the next year that you're hoping to accomplish with C-suite?
Yeah, I mean, over the next year, I definitely want. So right now we have 50 active members in the women's network. I would definitely like to double that in a year. And so, but in terms of kind of overall goal, kind of a few weeks ago when I was feeling overwhelmed and I was having self-doubt kind of creep in and I was kind of like, God, I think you picked the wrong person. I don't know if I can do this. And he gave me this message. He said, Angelie, I want no daughter left behind. And so that really became my personal mission and calling that really kind of drives me every day. It helps me get up in the morning. It helps me drive through, challenges that I have with technology or, connecting with people. And so, yeah, I think it's different when you do work that you feel is your calling, your mission, and part of your purpose than when you might be sitting in an office working in 9 to 5, kind of like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything that really matters to me, and so, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
No, you did. You answered it. So that leads me to this question then. And I want you to kind of look into the camera, and there might be a lady out there that was in your position a few years ago and she
Mhm.
hears God calling her. What does she need to do to step out? What were some of the steps that you'd recommend that she do besides pray? I mean, we obviously that's a given. If we ever ask that question and we know that you need to pray and seek God into what it is, but after that step and you really feel called, how do you make the transition?
You really what I've learned in my own journey is you really have to lean into trust, and it's really about surrender, and I know, okay, originally, I'm a type A personality, I was a perfectionist and recovering from, imposter syndrome, but it's really all about surrender, and I know that that can be scary, especially because when we think about surrender, we're thinking that we're giving up our control. But what I've found in my own experience is that when you surrender, you actually kind of gain more control. And that would be my advice is, lean into that trust and trusting God and knowing that He has a plan for you. One of the things that I talk about is what I call sparrow faith. It's that, God, if you look out at the birds, and me and my husband play this game when we're kind of out and around driving about, that whenever we see a bird, it triggers us to remember that God provides birds every day with everything that they need. If he's going to do that for birds, why would he not do that for you, his child, his daughter, his son? So
Yep.
lean into that trust and learn to surrender. Surrender to God's will for you in your life. And I know that it's scary because he never really shows us the big picture. I mean, like I was talking about with Rob, when he asked me to go into full-time ministry, he didn't show me anything. But I just jumped in and I trusted that he was going to bring me what I needed, and he has. And so it's really just about taking that first step of faith and recognizing that trusting and surrendering to God, He has you. He always has you. He's never going to let you fall or fail. You just have to trust that he knows what he's doing and he has an incredible plan for you.
I love that. And so, last question for today is one that I ask a lot of business people.
Mhm.
Have you ever had, or do you currently have a mentor?
Yes, I actually am a huge advocate for having mentors and even other coaches. When I first started my own business with my leadership coaching company, I kind of experienced the same when I started as a leader in healthcare. Is that we kind of have this disbelief that we have to know it all and we have to do everything on our own, because if we were to ask for help, it would show that we are weak, or that we have no reason to be in that role if we don't know what we're doing. But I've learned over the years, through God's grace, that we're meant to be in community. We're meant to help and support one another. And so really, reaching out and asking for help is a strength rather than a weakness. And why are you trying to reinvent the wheel when other people have gone before you and have already done it? And so, yeah, I'm huge on having mentors and coaches. I have several of my own that specialize in different things. And so, yes, I would highly encourage anyone, whether you're in the marketplace as an executive or a leader, or, you have your own business, make sure that you have mentors and people that can support you in different ways.
That's it. Now, give them the 30-second elevator pitch why they should be a part of C-Suite for Christ.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, the community at C Suite for Christ is amazing. I mean, you will not only be surrounded by like minded people, you'll be surrounded by people who are also strong in their faith and who desire to continue to grow and be sharpened and challenged, and really stepping into their calling that God has for them. And so, we are not just equipping and enabling you to be a good leader in the workplace, but to also strengthen and transform and mature in your faith. And so, again, community is amazing. And so, if you're looking for something like that, I encourage you to check us out.
That's awesome. Angelie, such a great time. We'll have you on again. Hey, probably when your book's out.
Absolutely.
Stay in contact. We appreciate you so much. Thanks for being a part of the morning break this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Rob. I appreciate it.
Hey, it has been, where has the time gone? It has gone by way too fast. Another great addition. Remember to check out C-Suite for Christ. And just, it's crazy. I don't know. The week's gone by way fast. Of course, we do this Monday through Wednesday. Maybe more coming in the future. Maybe when we do our 1-year anniversary, there'll be some kind of announcement about that. Very real possibility. Hey, thanks to our great sponsor, 7weekscoffee.com. That's 7weekscoffee.com. Remember, whether you get the just one kind of coffee or do the variety pack, which I totally recommend, go to 7weekscoffee.com. Use the promo code ATV10. And remember to get some of the Haitian coffee. It's a limited run, and you need to do it today. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for spending part of your morning with us. This has been your morning break.